On March 5, 1920, a man named Mojsze Sznejser was born in Lukau, Poland. He was born to a father who was a cobbler and a mother who taught poor girls how to dance. She also helped her husband repair shoes because he had a bad heart. Mojsze had 2 brothers and 1 sister. He was the oldest out of the 4. On Thursdays, the Jewish people would go to the mikveh and women would go first. In their city, no one worked on Saturdays, as it was Shabbat. When Mojsze was only 12, his father died at the age of 42. All of his customers were Polish. Mojsze vaguely remembers his sister, only knew that she knew how to sew and count. Inside their home, the family spoke Yiddish, but they also knew Polish to communicate with their neighbors. Within their city, there was a Jewish slaughterhouse, and if the meat was killed in an unkosher fashion or in the process became unkosher, it would be given to the Polish people. After Mojsze's father died, he had to stop going to school and worked as a cobbler. He had an elementary school level of education and attended night school. He worked for a master cobbler, and Mojsze wanted to be paid more zlotys, which is Polish currency, so he quit his job. Mojsze remembers life among the Poles as it was harmonious. In 1936, 3 years before the Second World War started, Mojsze moved to Warsaw and lived with his uncle, Aaron Konskill. In Warsaw, Mojsze did not have any contact to the Jewish community and therefore did not go to temple. He believes he returned back to Lukau in either September or October of 1939. Mojsze and his brother Abram escaped to the woods when the war broke out. While in the woods, the brothers had a hunt for food. They escaped to Brest, which is located on the eastern side of Poland, where Mojsze worked in a factory which was owned and ran by a Jew. There he lived in a Jewish woman's home with her family. He asked the foreman for fuel, and they were given it, but the woman burned it for herself and not in the apartment, so he left. In 1941, the Germans began attacking the USSR, and he escaped by train to Kurgan because at that time it was Russian. There he worked as a cobbler. Russians were scouting out people for the army, and he was sent to work in an aluminum factory. He told people that he was a cobbler, and they told him to gather his things. Unknowingly, he accidentally escaped the army because he did not realize he needed a visa to leave. After being caught, he was tried in a Russian court and given the death penalty, but later his charge was changed to 10 years of labor. Upon his conviction, he was shipped to Nij-Han-i-Tagil, where he was starving and freezing. He was later sent back to Moscow.
After the war, he went to Legnica. There, Mojsze married Chaya. Their wedding was small and did not even include a rabbi. Later, they traveled to Lukau and then to Dzierżoniów. There, their first son, David Berek, was born on February 10, 1947. In 1950, they had another son named Shama, and in 1952, they had a daughter, Shima. Their family continued their life in Legnica. Some Jews in the community did not practice their Judaism, but Mojsze was openly Jewish without problems. He also belonged to the Polish United Workers' Party, but he did not tell anyone. In 1968, he sent his children away. Shama went to Israel, and Shima went to Denmark. A little while later, after not hearing from Shama, he received a letter saying Shama had died and left a few zloty. In 1986, his wife passed away. It was during the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster. Shima, on the other hand, got married, and Mojsze went to stay with them. Then, in 1993, his daughter passed away as well. He stayed with his eldest son, David, in Legnica until 2002 when David died. He continued the rest of his life working.